Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back. I am Cindy Murray, and I am here with my two great hostesses, co-hostesses, Amber and Kristen.
Hi.
Hello.
And we are kind of in a kind of looking back at some of our things that we've talked about over the past episodes and over the past few years. If you've not joined us before, we've been on air, whatever you say, on air, since November of 2021. And so we are in our fourth season, and we've got, quite a few episodes out there. We've talked about a lot of things, and we thought it would be kind of fun to go back and talk about where we were and where we are now in respect to some of the things that we talked about back then. And I really want to start with going back to the first of this year. We actually did our first episode of 2024 was a bucket list for the new year. And I just kind of wanted to tap into that and see if you guys had done any of the things that were on your bucket list. We actually went back and listened to the bucket list episode. And if you want to go back and listen to that episode, I will link that on Heard It on the Podcast. That's over on our website at www.modernmusings.net. And so anything that we talk about in any of the episodes that I've talked about, I will link over there so you can go back and listen to them. But I guess basically, I mean, we're not all the way through the year, but we're, here we are in October. I feel like some of the things that were on our bucket list for this year should have been accomplished or at least underway. And I was just wondering how that was working for you guys, because it's not working that well for me.
Well, one thing that I said on that podcast is that I had never gotten a massage before.
Yeah,
and
you did.
Oddly enough, and Kristen said the same thing, right? And oddly enough, and I said that and I forgot about it or whatever. And yeah, over the summer, I had my very first professional massage.
Yeah, I
And
did too.
what
I had
did
my
you-
first massage.
And what did you think about it?
It was life-changing. Like, how had I gone 40 years without having a massage?
I know, right?
Especially
right?
a head massage. That was like the best part. A head massage.
Oh, you
My
got a
God.
head massage too?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
she massaged my she
Yeah.
massaged my
She
head.
got up into my neck and around my ears. She did my
Yeah.
ears. So yeah.
And it
She's
was
a
great.
really
Like,
good masseuse. Yeah.
I need to just go and schedule head massages. That was my favorite part, head
Yeah.
and neck
Did you
massage.
discover a new place on your body that you didn't realize was ticklish?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't ever have ticklish issues.
Yeah.
No,
But
didn't
she
really-
is. I always like strong pressure with my massage. So
Well,
I
don't know, like ticklish, but
that you didn't like being touched or whatever.
no, not that. Like it was just like my leg wanted to like kick when she massaged my butt cheek.
Oh, maybe she
Oh,
might push
but
the wrong.
that's
Definite
probably a
pressure.
nerve
It probably
reaction. Yeah,
was,
you
but
probably
it
had a
was
pinched
like I
nerve.
just wanted to like, and like kick my leg. It was weird. I mean, it felt really amazing because she was like really getting in there. But I
Yeah.
sit on my butt like all day.
Well,
long.
oh yeah.
And
Yeah, she definitely hit a sensitive spot, like around there for sure, where I was kind of. I wasn't
my
like
legs.
ticklish,
Yeah,
but it was like
it was just like, man, I realized that my legs needed some TLC, my legs and my butt, because I guess my muscles were just like so tense that when she was massaging them, it was almost like my nerve endings were going everywhere because I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to like kick my leg,
Oh yeah.
So that was weird, but not weird in a sense like that I wouldn't ever get a massage again.
Right.
It was obvious to me like I really needed
You needed
that
the
extra
massage,
blood
yeah.
flow.
Now, as far
you
as
know.
ticklish, I've never had them touch me so lightly that I was ticklish. And I personally don't like to be touched that lightly. I want
Mhm.
a really
Rough massage.
a deep
yeah,
massage. Yeah. So
A
I'm
rough
ready
massage
for
would
my
ever do.
next massage.
Oh, I know. They're
honestly.
really
Like,
good.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to get one
in fact, we were talking.
December.
I was talking to her about my issues with the massage and going to the chiropractor, and between the two of us, we decided. She said maybe you need to find a masseuse, to go to between your chiropractor appointments to help kind of loosen my back up some more. Because going, once a month or whatever to the chiropractor was not cutting it. But I'm glad you got to do that because it is kind of life changing to me. It's like you don't realize how tense you are until somebody massages it out of
Yeah.
you. And I go on those retreats to relax and have fun. And so that's one of the things I like to do is just go let her massage all that out. And
Well, like years ago when I had well, gosh, I don't have this neurologist anymore, but I loved him so much. He was my neurologist for like 12 years. And he suggested at one point in time that I do go and get head massages for my migraines. And like at the time, I was like, oh, I don't have money for that.
yeah.
But man, now
Well-
that I make adult money,
Well,
and
and
have,
some
I'm just like,
some
maybe I
insurances will pay for massage as well.
Well, I do get chiropractor through my insurance, so I'm wondering if
you might look because
Yeah.
mine does pay for a set number. It's like a certain number of them that you can go have.
Mhm.
So and places like Massage Envy, you can buy like a package deal where you get X number of massages for a set amount of money, and
Yeah.
that's kind of nice too. So I know along those lines, I had on mine to go get a mani-pedi, and I will tell you, I still have not done that.
No, we did talk
I'm
about
really
that
sad.
also.
I'm really
mani-pedi.
sad because I like having my nails done. I feel more girly when my nails are done. My nails are stronger when they're done.
Mhm.
But I've
So,
just
like,
I've had no
4
time.
4 years ago, I bought that. It's kind of like Jamberry.
Uh-huh.
I got them at Walmart.
I have some of those too. I
and
just
it's
ran across them.
Halloween.
Oh
and
wow!
I haven't ever used them.
No, I just
They're,
went.
like,
I just
spooky
found
themed.
some color sheet when I was cleaning up
Uh-huh.
my room today, and
Oh,
and
wow.
it's like I have not put them on. I need to put those on because they're.
I
They're
have
pretty.
some somewhere as well that I have
But
never
I really
used.
prefer my gel manicures. The shellac.
Yeah.
And I've got the stuff. I could do it myself as well, but I just haven't dedicated the time to it.
Yeah, I have the stuff also, and I have dip stuff that I
Oh,
could
yeah.
do as well.
So, yeah.
And I have like a whole foot massage water thing
Yeah,
and
I
foot
want one of
scraper that I
those
could
to
do.
soak my feet in.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I need to just like set that up somewhere when I come home from work. Just
Oh yeah.
pop my feet into it.
Give your feet a little care, a little self-care. Yeah. That's important.
Self-care
Now, I will
Sunday.
say that one of the things that was on my bucket list for the new year was to finish my taxes on time. I was partially successful at that. I did get my 2022 taxes done. Don't look at me like that.
Hey, you just that's your story to tell. Not mine to judge.
I had an extension.
You
I
did.
filed an extension. 2022 was a rough year. 2023 was a rougher year. And
2024.
and 2024
was
started out.
challenging. Yeah.
That was pretty challenging as well. But I had set out to my primary goal was to get my taxes done off to the accountant, so that I can get everything filed. And I got my 2022 stuff, all the bookkeeping done, everything, and sent to the accountant before the deadline for the 2023 taxes. So there's a thing right there. And I filed an extension for 2023, which is coming due, and I sent that stuff off in August. So we're good. I'm good on the taxes. I did not get them both done by the April 15th deadline, but I did get them done. I got them done. So that was a win for me as far as I'm concerned. And I didn't mention it on that bucket list, but I think we talked about some organizing, and we had also talked about some organizing from a previous episode about working on my garage, because when all these people started moving in and out of my house, all these rooms kept getting emptied into my garage, and it just sat there. And then as Ashley moved in and out from college and things like that, the shed filled up with her furniture. And so there was all kinds of things. And then we had bad storms last May, and I lost a tree and got some damage on some of my sheds. And so I wound up doing a huge project of replacing my sheds, and that is still sort of an ongoing project, but mostly done. So I was really happy with that one too.
So the year before last year, one of my goals was to organize and decorate my home
Yes.
with an expressive way that was free of clutter. So that was like kind of the verbiage that I had set for my goal.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I started off with the decluttering, and Travis and I actually, well, and Raina too, because she lives with us too. She was probably the victim of this circumstance. We didn't have a couch for a long time. We had 2 recliners, and then she had like various child-sized chairs, and she's like big kid now, teenager. So we were just like, we really need to get a couch, something where guests can sit, so Raina can sit, or so someone can lay down. And my recliner like decided to recline and never fold back up ever again. And so it was
Wow.
like an open position for like an embarrassing amount of time. Like I just never sat in it. It became like a dumping place. Because it was hard to get in and out of. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dogs enjoyed it plenty. And so we ended up, it wasn't in like, I guess it was a goal, but it wasn't a goal. We had a big purchase list. I know we were talking about like bucket lists, and we didn't really talk about like purchase bucket lists.
No,
but
we did not.
yeah, I have a major purchase bucket list.
Yeah, I do too.
Because
Yeah.
I try to like not go crazy and buy like really expensive things that aren't on this list. And I used an Eisenhower matrix probably around the same time that I had made my craft and project matrix list.
Right.
And my husband and I were kind of chipping away at like the things on the list. Well, we got down to the couch situation, and so we decided to purchase a couch. And it actually became more than just a couch, but really like unifying the room and bringing together like what I was trying to accomplish, which was to make it more expressive but also organized. We got this really nice reclining like L-shaped couch, and we ended up getting some bookshelves and upgrading our TV and setting up like all of our game consoles. So we ended up really like organizing the living room, and that to me felt like a big accomplishment. So it was kind of like on my bucket list to finally have like the living room of my dream, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It is totally my dream living room, surrounded by books, movies, and people and dogs, So we've been enjoying our living room space, and I thought that was really funny because the things that I was speaking of in my bucket list were not things that I actually like worked towards this year.
Right.
This year didn't quite go like I had like anticipated at the time when we set up our bucket list. One thing that was true was I kept thinking about the little things like, put, Paris on your bucket list, put the Onion Dome and the 7 Wonders of the World. But what about the little things on the bucket list? What about that holiday bingo that we play?
Right.
get back to the simple pleasures, because my word for the year before was enjoy, and I wanted to enjoy the things, like enjoy the place that I live in and enjoy the space that I live in. And then this year my word was pause. So at the time we were talking about our bucket list, I was really focused on being in that word pause. And so I wasn't anticipating like big adventures. We had
Right.
just come off of a lot of big adventures. And the funny thing is, almost like my brain knew that my body was going to need to pause more before I even came to that point in my life, because a lot of things changed in my life. Some
Right.
big things changed: work, family, home, and my routine just like
Yeah.
completely turned around upside down. So I am really glad that I was also looking at like the little things to be excited about, like just going to eat at a restaurant that I hadn't eaten at in a really long time, or I think we've done quite a few of those things. My husband and I went to the melting pot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of those things. We also went to the Magic Time Machine.
Oh, yeah. It's for
Yeah,
our
that was,
Galentine's.
Yeah,
that was a
those are
lot of
those
fun.
places you
Hadn't
only
been
go
in
to
years.
in like several years, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to go there. I haven't been there in forever. You know, and so we really enjoyed doing some of those kind of things.
Right,
Going
right.
back to the movie theater again, because, you know, COVID, we stopped going to the theater, and I was like going to the movie theater like once a week.
Right.
And then we just kind of like stopped. So, you know, we started picking up those kind of things again.
I get that. Like, I did a lot of those things. Like, in 2023, it was all about planning my wedding. So I kind
Right.
of stepped back on a lot of the things that I like to do. Like in 2022, Jason and I had like started going to a lot of concerts and doing things like that. And then 2023, we kind of stepped back on all of that just for wedding planning and budget and everything like that. So I definitely wanted to get back to doing that. I know I mentioned going to Scarborough Fair, which I didn't get to do, but you know, I guess like as a interesting substitute, Stacy came to town and we went to Medieval Times, and she had never
that's
been.
fun. I've never been there.
And
So
I hadn't been since I was in high school, so like 20 something years.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah, so that was a neat experience. And we took her daughter, and Jason and our husbands went too, and they had never been. So it was a neat experience, the whole thing. So that was kind of a substitute for Scarborough Fair.
yeah.
And Shakespeare in the Park is still coming up. I talked about that. So one of my goals definitely is to take my seniors to Shakespeare in the Park. And so that's coming up, and hopefully we can do that. And just, and we, at the beginning of the year, we ran across a concert that we wanted to go to. I wanted to go see Hollywood Undead, and Jason wanted to go see I Prevail. And then Hailstorm was headlining, and we had already seen Hailstorm before, but they always put on a good show. So we bought the tickets like really early in the year, and it finally came, and we went to the concert. And then they had all of these like last minute August concerts that still had seats, and they were selling them really cheap. So we bought more concert tickets, like really, really cheap. So we spent like the month of August going to concerts, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about, you know, like things change and stuff. And I've had the last couple of years have been like really super crazy for me too. And a lot, you know, I had things on my goal, like you said, Scarborough Fair, things like that, or the State Fair. And I will say that as of this airing, we are planning to go to the State Fair.
Yeah,
And if that comes up, if that happens, it will have been yesterday. so so yeah, just odd timing there, because we do record in advance. But you know, I've had so many things, weird things that have happened with my life. You know, Mark passing away in January kind of shifted all my perspectives. And so where Kristen was talking about spending more time at home and enjoying more of the simple things and maybe spending less money and less time outside the home, my thing was really kind of rebuilding my home, because in the
Renesting,
course
yeah.
of the renesting, yeah, I guess because um you know, a lot of things got you know, overlooked or let go while my husband was going through cancer. You know, our daily life was, you know, taking him for chemo and trying to make sure he's eating, and you know, different daily care things. And so I spent a lot of time on that, and my house was a wreck. And then, you know, the big garage clean out thing was a huge thing, and catching back up on my taxes. So I didn't have a whole lot of small things, but I did try to keep up with some of my ongoing projects that are always going. Like one of my projects that I always do every year is my December daily. And because Mark was so sick during December, I only got 11 days into the project. Now, I took pictures throughout the month for the project, but I did not actually scrapbook it or anything like that. So lately, I have been going back and trying to finish that project, and we've talked about that before on our current projects episode. Um, that, you know, sometimes we don't get finished with it, and we just work on it as long as it's done by December so that we can start on the next one. So we are actually headed into the season for December Daily. We've already passed I know, right?
I'm still working on 2022 December daily, guys.
Well, I will tell you, I still was working on mine too. That was one of the things. I actually finished the main album, but as you recall, we were all on a cruise that Christmas, and Kristen and I had worked on our. I don't know if you did a mini album for the cruise, or
I always bring the stuff to do it, and I get like 2 pages
right.
in. and
Well,
that's it.
I took a traveler's journal with me, and I journaled the entire time we were on the cruise. And then the idea was to print the pictures. I actually brought my Sprocket photo printer with me on the cruise to print the pictures and just stick it in. And I couldn't get it to work because I didn't have reliable Wi-Fi on the cruise. And so that did not work, but I did the journaling and I left space for the photos. And then I came home and didn't do anything with it hardly. So I started working. I had started working on it before, but that was one of the projects that I finished over the summer, was to complete that album so that it could tuck into my regular 2022 December Daily album. So I finished 22, and I'm almost done with 23 so that I can start 2024. But that's one of my ongoing projects that, you know, a lot of times I will be working on that throughout the year. Another one that I work on throughout the year is, of course, my one little word. And we did mention on that bucket list episode what our one little words were, and mine was balance. And I've been working on balance. Not necessarily in the ways that I thought I was going to. It's kind of manifested in my life in different ways than I expected, which is always the case with my words. But it's been a really good thing, because I've found balance where I didn't think I had balance. And some of the things I wanted to work on, I was not able to. Like, I had intended to spend more time doing yoga and working out at the gym and, building up my strength and getting balanced that way. And I actually wound up having an injury back last fall that just never would heal. And I couldn't even hardly go to the gym for months. Every time I thought I was healed and I'd go back to the gym and I would hurt again. So I did not get that healed until over the summer. And so I've kind of been going back now, but I didn't get that part of it, that exercise, going to the gym thing.
That was on my bucket list
Yeah.
too, and I didn't get that either.
Yeah. Another thing I had wanted to do was work on my grimoire, which I prefer to call my Book of Light. But it's I have been working on it, but more in the way of collecting things to put in it. And I haven't actually organized the things or put them in it. So but it's in a pile. It's ready to go. So I don't know. It'll come when it's time, I guess. But there was a lot of stuff on my bucket list that did not happen. We did take a girls' trip. I think we talked about that.
We did.
Yeah, we did. We did an episode about our RV trips. So, so you can go back and listen to that one if you want to. So we did do that.
That wasn't one of the things we mentioned, but camping out in an RV has been on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ever.
Well, we did mention travel, or I mentioned
Yeah.
travel.
Well,
so.
we mentioned a girls' trip,
And we did
also
mention
that
a
we
Yeah.
girls'
wanted to
trip because
plan
we
that.
talked about going to Marfa the year before.
but
So
specifically like RV.
no, we did
has
not
been
specifically
on
say
my-
RV.
on my bucket list.
Yeah. Now, I will say that since that bucket list episode, I kind of put words to a bucket list item that I had not mentioned on there too, which was to visit all of the Texas state parks, and I believe there's like 88 of them, and I've hit probably 10 or 12, but some of them could stand to be visited again because I like them, but I do want to do that, and so that was our little summer RV trip was a start towards that, and then I have a trip coming up to Paris. So I had mentioned I wanted a big trip. I thought about a cruise, but I wound up booking a trip to Paris with the Green Man Studios in South Lake, and I worked with him to create this little Paris trip, and we're going to be in Paris in the catacombs over Halloween. So we're going to visit all the haunted sites, and that's kind of exciting. So that'll be a nice big trip for me. But yeah, I mean, I really haven't, because of the changes in my life, I have not focused on those bucket list things, except for the ones that just kind of fell into my lap, because I really was more focused on getting home and hearth back to something sustainable, and, getting those taxes done, and, just kind of figuring out my finances and, what my life is going to look like from now on. So, that was a big task right there.
Yeah. Sometimes the bucket list things, I like to think of those as like adventures.
Yes.
And, and just sometimes just doing the comfort things, like, going to the old favorite places you haven't
Right,
been to in
right.
a long time. And sometimes there's just not really like a lot of space for that.
Right.
So you have to kind of like play your cards out right and make a little bit of room
Well,
for
and
those things.
that's where I decided to play it a little more loosely,
Mhm.
rather than have a list of things I wanted to do and places I wanted to go. I decided to just let things happen,
Uh-huh.
So, we've kind of started going back to some of the restaurants that we hadn't been to, but none of it was like on the bucket list or planned. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
letting those things unfold
Yeah.
as they will. So, that's good for now. And when December rolls around, November and December, and it's time to start planning the new year, then I will, start looking at what I might want to do for next year. And I do want to add those small things in.
Need to get my restaurant bucket list back together.
Oh, yeah.
And my coffee shop bucket list. That's one thing that I did slack off on this year, was going to my different coffee shops.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about projects? I know, did you have something else you want to say? Okay,
Yes.
well, say it. Okay.
So, before we hop into projects, and
Okay.
we're still talking about the list
bucket
that
list?
we didn't
Okay.
get to accomplish because I hadn't got to explore a lot of that yet. One of the things that we had talked about was going to a water park. And which was funny because we had just been to a water park in the summertime.
Right.
And so we mentioned it again. So I think maybe we were just like, ooh, that was fun. Let's do it again. And this summer, I was not able to make a water park attraction part of my, fun activities for the summer. But I went ahead and I encouraged Travis and Raina to go, without me.
Right.
Because it was like, I don't want no one to go just because I couldn't go. Work was really hectic, really since like April. All of a sudden, like an old project fell back into my lap. And so I've been really heavily focused on work for the past, months, and working a lot of overtime, which was one of the things I was trying not to do this year so that I could do other fun things.
Right.
But it was kind of hard not to say no because it was really like an elevated work experience. So I ran with it. And so, I told Travis, I was like, take Raina. Yeah, I'll go swimming or something. Go take her swimming. And he was thinking about taking her to the gym and swimming in the outdoor pool at
Right.
the gym. And I was like, you know what? It's your day off. Raina's got school like starting again soon. So it was like the last week before school started. I sent them off to Hurricane Harbor,
Oh, yeah.
which was like my favorite place to go when I was a kid before we had all these other water park attractions. So she had never been there, and Travis hadn't been since he was like 16. So they went, and I feel like I got to cross that off my bucket list because I went in spirit,
Oh, yeah.
because my family got to do it. And so I'm okay with that. And we're going at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I did when we set our bucket list was I kept thinking like, oh, the small things. But I never like made a big list. Like I
Right.
have my big
The
list of
Big list
things.
of small things.
Yeah, just like holiday nails. And just
Yeah.
like all the things for like all the places
Right,
and all
right.
the things. Like when I was thinking if I had just done like a bigger list with more things, I might have felt like maybe I got a little bit more of my bucket list done.
Right.
Because honestly, like I got a massage and my family went to the water park without me. And then, potential state fair, right?
Right.
And that's it. Like all the rest of the stuff on my bucket list was like things like we didn't get to go to the Vampire Expo because it was just too late. It was too
By the
too
time
much
we
stuff
figured out,
going
yeah.
on. Yeah. And like I had this fun idea of doing like jewelry making and movies, and I just need to like write those things down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm going to do this year is just make the list and then actually like cross them off.
Right.
And maybe
Well,
like make 100
no,
things to
the-
do this year.
Well, and
kind of thing.
we
Make
did
like
that.
one for your family and then one for your girlfriends.
Right,
Like things
right.
you want to do with your girlfriends and
Yeah.
things
Well,
you
and
want to
I
do with
mean
your family.
like just all on one big long list. So even if I go, with or without whoever, it still counts.
Right.
yeah, that's
right.
true. Yeah.
Like, and because I like to go do things like go to the bookstore without a particular book in mind.
Right. Yeah.
or
Me every time.
go to the movie theater by myself.
One thing that I want to do this fall, like especially because I want to build up my classroom library again, is hit all of the Goodwills in the area, the book sections in the
Oh,
Goodwills,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the clearance section in half price books because they have
I
$2
love the
books,
clearance section.
and
So
just
she's
build
got
up.
book shopping on her.
Yeah,
list. Yep.
that's a like upcoming fall type weekend bucket list. Is
Yeah.
like do like a Saturday of just hitting up the Goodwills.
I love
Yeah.
shopping at thrift stores.
And thrift shopping. I haven't really gone thrift shopping in a couple of years. So just like a Saturday of thrift shopping or a Saturday of antiquing and thrift shopping.
Mhm.
And then I know that Cindy, you have talked about this also, is like making a day of it and hitting up all the metaphysical shops.
Yeah, yeah. I that sounds like a lot of fun to me. And I like doing those things. I just don't, like Kristen said, I don't ever put those things on my list. I have these ideas of things I want to do going to the movie. And we do sometimes put things on the calendar. We'll say girls' night at the movies, but then we never follow through with it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or there's not an appropriate girls movie out at the time or whatever, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so yeah, it just never happened, or we wind up being too busy at the time or whatever. So I do want to put those on a list, and I probably should put those on a list. And we've done something similar before in our December planning, where we say, what are the things we want to do, and let's write them out, and then we started to plan them, and we used to do that to some extent, but we just don't do it anymore. Or I think what happened was we had to keep knocking things off. We'd put it on the calendar and we had to postpone or take it off or whatever, and we just never came back around to it,
Like axe throwing.
Yeah, like the axe throwing and going to the Perot Museum and things like that, because, things just didn't work out. Yeah. And I had somebody the other day was talking to me about going to do a escape room, with people, which we've done as a family, but we haven't done it with our girlfriends or anything, so that would be fun. There's a lot of little things like that. But yeah, I there's things that I think I get buried in all of the projects I'm working on, and so then I forget to keep planning. I get short-sighted, I guess, and I see the projects that I'm working on, and I forget to tack something on for when I finish the projects or whatever, or else the project lasts so long that I never wound up having time.
Or if you're afraid you take a break, you won't come back to your project.
To your project, yeah, there's that too. So speaking of projects, I was about to say that a minute ago, but I wanted to let you talk about your bucket list items. We did an episode back in September of 22 about the current projects that we were working on. And I wanted to ask you guys if you had managed to complete any of those projects. Did you add more projects or different projects? And how was that going for you?
Most of mine that I talked about were ongoing projects, like my list journal and the, recipe cookbook compilation things that I've been doing.
Yeah, those are like hobbies.
Yeah, those are just like pretty much ongoing projects. And then we talked about the jewelry making that we never started.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like for me, when I think about like the projects, those are like the start and finish, like the end product is completed. Yes, I did have some projects that I was currently working on or set a goal to. I had talked about on our current projects episode, my project Matrix.
Right.
And that has worked really well for me. I have not chipped away at a whole lot of projects because I limited myself to 5 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year that I did it, I completed all 5. I was noticing that I wasn't really getting much of them completed this year, and I realized that every single one of them was a scrapbook. I didn't give myself a lot of
Variety. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can scrapbook this or I can scrapbook that, and it hasn't, like, my heart hasn't been in it. And I had set a rule not to start any new projects or pick up any of the incomplete ones until the other ones were done. But then I was like, well, what if I don't want to scrapbook? Like, I really pinned myself in a corner. So this year I actually picked up on a Diamond Dots that was incomplete. And even though that wasn't one of my goal projects to work on, I've been working on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I did finish a project that I had set out to complete. So it wasn't like I just gave them up altogether. I needed something that wasn't I don't know, memory keeping.
And that's
now.
I like to do that too. I like to have like a sewing project, and I mentioned that on the thing. I like to have a sewing project and a scrapbook project, and maybe like an art journal or something like that, and then something mindless like the Diamond Dots or Zentangle or a color book or something like that. I did finish a Diamond Dots. I don't remember when I finished it. A Christmas one, and I am working on another one that was from a scrapbook expo in 2019, I believe, and I had not finished it, so I've been working on that, trying to finish it. And I was working on Project Life. I am still working on Project Life, but I finished, I was working on a December daily at the time, I believe. And I did finish that December daily. And I was working on a Christmas quilt. And I finished it. And I think I mentioned my t-shirt quilt. And I actually spent some time one weekend at a quilt retreat. And got all of the t-shirts cut up. And with interfacing fused to them. So they are ready to cut to the right size and start stitching those together. So that project's, got some good progress on it. I started another quilt project that's not finished. And I've really mainly been trying to finish these other projects, finish the December daily, finish that little cruise notebook that I mentioned.
Yeah, that's been my biggest thing is like stop starting new
projects
without finishing the ones you already started.
Right.
And like my living room project, kind of like redecorating the living room, although I had other projects like that I could have finished, I felt like that one was like, because it's a home project, it's a little bit different. But
yeah,
I've been really
so
trying
too.
even to just avoid like a new decluttering project, or like,
right.
I had talked about a few episodes back how I wanted to take my games out of the game closet and move those to like some different kind of shelves so that you can actually see the games. And I've been just like thinking about it, but I'm not even like in a planning stage for that,
right.
because it's a big undertaking and it does require like purchasing new furniture, like it's a whole nother room to redecorate. Yeah. And I think at this point right now, I'm not ready to commit to another like redecorating kind of thing. I want to work on some other types of projects. Like we want to tackle the garage.
Right.
And I think that's one of the projects that you've been working on, right?
Yeah, I've been working on my garage. It was the garage and the sheds. I realized the garage was the project, but I realized I couldn't clean out my garage until I had somewhere to store the things that were in the garage that needed to be stored. And my sheds were full and they were falling apart, and we had some storm damage, and there was water leaking into my sheds. So I wound up, it wound up becoming a huge project where I had to pay somebody to come demolish 3 sheds. And then I got a brand new tough shed installed. And we had to move everything out of the old sheds and store it in a pod. And then once the new shed was built, I had to organize everything that came out of the sheds and start putting it back in the pod. So it's been like this huge, 4-month long project to get it done because there's just so much. And you can only work in short bursts in Texas in the summertime because of the heat. It's, if you're out in the heat, it's 100 degrees out there, you're going to die from heat stroke,
Yeah.
so we work, in 2-hour increments to get out there and try to get something done, tackle one little here, let's go through the Christmas stuff and get it all stored correctly, kind of thing. And so I've been working on that, and that, like I said, it wasn't on my bucket list. I mean, the garage was on my bucket list to get done, but it wasn't, I did not intend for it to become the project that it became, but it needed to be the project that it became because I couldn't go forward with any of the other things until that was kind of under control. And like you said, I chose not to, like with my goal setting this year, I chose not to set a lot of different goals or to start a lot of different projects because I felt like between the garage and my taxes, those were the 2 most important things that needed to happen. And if I tried to do anything else, any other projects, it would take away from that. So I just set those 2 goals, taxes and the garage, and I've just been chunking away at it, just little by little by little by little, as much as I can. And I've seen a lot of really good progress with it, but it's been a challenge. So, but that's kind of my current project. It really is still trying to finish that because there's a little bit left that still needs to be done. Like I said, I had 4 different people moving in and out of this house over time, and belongings and things like that, and it just, stuff got moved into the garage for storage, and it never came back out again, and then somebody else's stuff got moved in on top of it, and it's been a mess. So it's a big 2-car garage, and it was full of stuff. We had like this skinny little pathway.
I think a lot of people's homes are like that nowadays. Like when I drive down my streets, like everybody's garage is like that.
Yeah.
And they're building storage facilities like left and right, storage unit places, and I'm just like, wow, what are we coming to? We have so much junk.
We have so much stuff.
And that's one of my projects, but it's like it's so hot that
it's really hard to
there's like
make yourself
4
be
months
out
out of the year that you can work on it.
Yeah.
Because it's too cold in the garage in December and January and February.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're getting, it's almost there. I've got just a little bit more stuff to put away and a bunch of empty boxes that need to be broke down. So
Amber's got some big projects going on.
She's had a lot
house.
of big projects going on with the house organizing, and you had a big pod in your yard too. So
I did. That was one of my goals for the year, was to clean out that pod, and I did get that pod cleaned out by the beginning of March, but then everything that wasn't put up in the pod was moved into my living room. So then my next big goal was to organize my living room. And so I finally have that somewhat mostly organized. One project that I took over on the summer was to organize my books because they hadn't been unpacked in a couple of years. So I organized my books, and I gave a ton of my books to my classroom. And well, school appropriate books, I guess. But I still have my little paperbacks that I need to organize, but for the most part, I have like all of my big books organized, and I cataloged them all on a library app
Oh, that's cool.
called LibIb. And so I have all of my big paperback, hardback, big books organized and set up in the living room now. And I have like kind of a corner set for stuff that we're going to put in the storage out back, which is something that we haven't been able to do because it's so hot, is deal with the storage out back. So we've got to clean out our storage as well.
Yeah.
And reorganize it so we can put stuff in the storage. And we won't talk about my 2 storage units of my parents' stuff that I still need to go through.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But yeah, that it's an ongoing project. Like it took Kristen like 2 years to get to where she wanted to with her house. So I guess hopefully in 2 years, check back with me.
Now that you had another big change because earlier in the year you were also talking about in one of our episodes about continuing education.
Oh yes. Yeah. Gosh. Has
That's a
it
project.
been? It's been like I started. That was like on the bucket list episode, right?
It was. Well,
Where
I don't know. Yeah, I think you
or
talked.
it was no. We did an episode.
We
on
did an episode about
continuing education, and I
education,
was
yeah.
talking about applying for grad school, and I finally bit the bullet and applied for grad school. Yeah, and so now I'm currently taking fall classes. So I'm like 6 classes into grad school now.
I know, that's so exciting.
And it's like to the point where I'll be applying to internships soon, and then I have a residency course coming up. So I'm looking like hopefully in a year graduating from grad school.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I still haven't wrapped my mind around it. Like I'm so deep into it now. Like I'm 2
There's no turning
semesters
back.
deep, or there's no turning back. Like I'm 2 semesters deep into it. So
Yeah. That's
crazy.
Really cool.
And then like 2 more semesters in a summer after that. So
Very cool. Very
wow.
cool.
Hard to think about that. Like I had been avoiding for I graduated with my bachelor's in 2010, so I've been like putting off 13 years getting my master's, like keeping like excuse after excuse, like I'm not in the good place in my life to do it right now. And then funny, like I moved out here. I left Vernon in 2009, right? Yeah. 2009 and moved out here. Crazy. Wow. I've been living out here in back out in the Dallas area. I left Vernon, and when I left, I had resolved myself that I was going to grad school. So it took me like 6 years to actually like start grad school. I've been like working towards it since
That's okay.
2009.
That's okay. I've been telling myself I would go back to school for 30 years, and I never did. So
It's
At least you
never
did.
too late.
I need to
At
go pick
least
up
you-
my diploma.
yes, you do.
I just never.
That needs to be
like,
on your bucket
got
list.
it.
I never got my South Plains College diploma.
Yeah.
I doubt it even exists anymore. And I don't know what happened to my TWU diploma. I think it got thrown away.
Oops.
Not by me. It was in my mom's bedroom. My mom's stuff. But
Maybe it's in that shed with
maybe
all
it's
that
in the storage. So everything was thrown in there, and it like I'm gonna have to throw away all that stuff because it's behind my grandma's house, and I think a skunk got in there. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
I think I'm just gonna have to toss it all out. I just haven't
faced it. Yeah.
faced it yet. Yeah.
You need to get some buddies to go help you. That's what you
Mhm.
need. Yeah.
No, Jessica offered. And I know Kristen has offered.
Yep.
And
Just- we just
Stacy
need to
lives next
go.
door, so
Yeah,
just
we
like
just
a
gotta go
girl
in
power.
like the fall or something when it's not too hot.
Well,
and
yep.
In the fall, girl
Just go do
power,
it.
load
Yeah.
up a
Go
truck
get
and
us a
keep going to the
U-Haul. Yep.
go to the dump or whatever.
So any other major life things going on or projects completed, milestones met? Well,
No, like everything is pretty much like a work in progress. You know, I talked about going to the gym, and that's still a work in progress.
right. Well, are we thinking ahead to the things that we're gonna start? Like I mentioned, I have my blinders on and I see my big projects, and I don't think about what I'm gonna do after I'm done. Are you starting to think about what you're going to do, what you're going to work on next?
Yeah, well, like Kristen and I have this ongoing thing that we've been doing all year that we haven't even mentioned.
Oh, that's
That
right.
we
Yeah,
have
'cause-
exchanged a book
Yeah.
every month.
That's been so much fun. I mean, for me, like continuing to hit my reading goal every year, it's not a project, it's not a bucket list, it's just like a thing, right? Like it's something I just need to do. Like some people go to the gym, right? And Amber sent me this video she found on TikTok, and it was like a different book like theme each month, and then you buy your friend that book and then they have to read it. And I was just like, oh, that looks like so much fun, because we have similar but very different tastes in books. And I knew for Amber it would be a challenge for me to find books for her that I think she might not have read, so I'm
Yeah.
like out there looking for books that I'm pretty sure she hasn't read, trying to look for something obscure but still good. And then she's been force feeding me all the books she's been recommending to me for years. So it's been really good.
Yeah, because now
And-
she has to read them.
Yeah, so I literally have the biggest TBR book list I've ever had in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
So, because Amber, and of course, when we started, we swapped our first book on January 27th. And so we were already like doomed to be a little behind. And on top of that, like she picks these really amazing books that are like the first book in a set.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, then
series.
you have to read the next
And
book.
so then I'm like, but I want to read the series. So now I've been reading like a bucket list book, or the book group. I don't know what it is.
The
The
Book
reading
swap
club
list.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Reading challenge. Yeah.
Challenge. There you go. And then like the next book I read will be like the number 2 or number 3 book in the series, and then I'll go on to read the next book. So and then we went to Barnes and Nobles together because my favorite author was doing a book signing, and then like 20 books later,
we walked the store a little bit too much there.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a gift card, so it only paid for a portion of it, but but I ended up with like more books that are on my shelf. So I have now a new bookshelf that has TBR books on it.
Yeah.
To be read, by the way. And so that's something that we've been really doing, and that was not on my bucket list. It wasn't something I was planning, but I'm like, wow, why wasn't that on my bucket list? Because the books were books I wanted to read. A lot of them were ones she recommended. So it was like Amber's bucket list for me. That's kind of what we're doing.
That is a good way to think about it. Well,
But-
I mean, now that we've started this thing, we're just gonna have to add it to another one of our traditions, like the Halloween pajama shopping tradition that we've been doing.
Yeah. We have all these like little micro holidays and micro traditions, and I think that's like, if you know us, that's literally one of the first episodes we ever did was tradition. We talked about
We
our
talked about
favorite
holiday
holidays.
traditions, yeah.
Yeah.
And we do a little things like that. We talk. You were asking about the small things on our bucket list. those literally are the small things on our bucket
that's
list.
what I mean. Like, what are
that
those things?
we just don't list them out. But like every February we have a Galentine's thing, and that started because of a podcast episode, the Galentine's.
Yeah, we talked about Galentine's.
We talked about Galentine's.
So now we have an annual Galentine's get together.
And sometimes we do one in the fall, some kind of little brunch or something as well. And then, we did a trip with Kristen, a girls trip for her bachelorette party. We did a girls trip for your kind of bachelorette party.
So we started something. We did something this last summer. So now we're planning our next summer girls trip.
Right. And then we do little things like we have during the holidays, we have our S Day, which stands for Starbucks, shopping, sushi, Sonic,
and scrapbooking.
Yeah. So
Shopping.
And shopping. I think I said
Okay.
shopping. But and whatever other S we
Spa.
can fit in there.
Spa.
A spa.
Spa day.
Spa day. But we have those days.
Massage.
Oh, now we can go swimming on S Day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we can.
It's on
We can.
Saturday.
Well, maybe we need to do an M day for massage. Yeah, for
massage, M&Ms.
on Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Monday.
On Mondays. Yeah.
Monday.
Don't ignore us.
Chris and I are going to come up with a whole alphabet.
I know, alphabet fun things to do.
Oh yeah. Well, those are fun things to do, and like I like your reading thing that you are doing. I have not participated in any kind of reading challenge and don't intend to, but I have been fortunate enough to get some hand-me-down books from
Right.
from Kristen on that, and has started that. And I've been trying to read a lot more this year too. So, just trying to get a more variety of reading as well. So, I've been kind of going back and forth. I've got what I call 3 categories. I have my sci-fi fantasy genres that I like to, kind of delve off into, and my fun. And then I have my self-help kind of stuff. So like I read Brene Brown or, Eckhart Tolle or whatever. I've got a whole stack of those that I want to go through. And then I also have my biographies and other kinds of nonfiction. And I've been trying to go through it. So I have a stacked up. I have the Britney Spears book.
Oh,
and Spare, and yeah.
one thing I did do this year, which is it was kind of a goal that I did set for myself, was to read the Wheel of Time series.
yeah.
And it took me 8 months this year,
Wow.
but I did read all 15 books in the series, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that because they were big, thick
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. That one's on my reading TBR, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you need to read it so we can talk about it.
okay.
Both of you.
Well, I'll have to quit talking on podcasts in order to do that.
right. We're just gonna have like another podcast where we just talk about books.
Oh my God.
Again? How many of those have we already had?
I know we
we have.
talk a lot about books.
We do talk a lot about books.
We love to
we're
read.
We're kind of obsessed with books, like
Right.
coffee. Coffee and books go together.
Coffee and books
And donuts.
and donuts.
So
And food.
my plan is, because I know we kind of like exhausted our project and bucket list, but my plan is to make a bigger bucket list this year with more.
That's pretty good,
things.
yeah.
I've
The
I've
little
started
things.
mine.
I was like trying to get y'all to say what the little things were, but really it was me. I needed.
You need to make the
I
little things.
needed
It's
the
yours.
little things, and that was the thing I didn't do. I wanted to hear y'all's little things, and then I never did mine.
Well, and I don't think about the little things. I do plan them because I keep my little bingo. Every season I have a bingo list of little. Some of them are little. Sometimes they're big things. Like my current bingo list, the one was clean out the garage, but it also might have eat a candied apple or,
Yeah.
just something small. Have, roast a marshmallow, something like that. So I do have those. They're just not in the form of a bucket list. They're on my fall bingo or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I've been sitting here kind of making like a bucket list,
Well,
like
that's
an
cool.
upcoming things that I want to do.
Got any small things on there?
Well, we talked about making boo baskets for each other.
Oh yeah, boo
and,
basket. Yeah.
And then I did the PJ girl night that we always do.
Mhm.
And then I sent Kristen a video the other day, and it was like about spooky flower making. And I was like, I have all of these little skull heads left over from my engagement party like a couple of years ago. And then we started like talking about like going and getting flowers and gluing the skulls on there. Because that was one thing that I really liked about the bridal shower that y'all threw me was like all of like the little doll heads that y'all put on the flowers to lead into the bridal
Just to
shower.
tell y'all what we did an Alice in Wonderland themed tea party. And so we took doll heads of various sizes and glued them onto flowers and, poked them in the ground and stuff. And there was big ones and small ones. And
that's what we need to do for like a girls' night is do another tea party.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
That was a lot of
yeah.
fun. Yeah. I think everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody dressed up. People were wearing pearls.
Have like a modern
and
musing
hats.
tea
And,
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Musings, modern musings tea party.
yeah.
So
That'd
that's
be
a
fun.
thought.
Put it on your bucket list.
Put it on your bucket list.
Or go to high tea. Like
There
one of
are
the
places
that
tea
have high
places
tea in
there.
town, yeah.
All right. Well, what are we talking about next week, Amber?
Oh no, what are we talking about? Oh, I'm just kidding. We're talking about baking.
Baking.
We're talking about the love of baking. It goes with our last week's for the love of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're going to be talking about baking. So come with your favorite recipes, guys.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I have several of those. Yeah.
Not
Awesome.
a very good baker, but
Baking is what I love
I
to
mean,
do.
we won't talk about the cookies, right? just kidding.
I'm like, do casseroles count?
Well, you do
You
bake
bake them,
it.
yeah.
Okay. I
What
got
about
you on
like
baked
dump
chicken.
cakes?
That's baking.
Yeah, I know. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Bacon. If it goes in the oven, it's bacon.
yeah, bacon.
Bacon.
Bacon bits.
Bacon.
I'm
Bacon
like,
bits.
Bacon.
$1 million bacon.
All right.
Bacon.
You got to get me off of here.
Okay. If you want to find out about any of the podcasts that we've mentioned in this episode, go to our website at www.modernmusings.net. And you can see our Heard It on the Podcast list. We'll have them there. You can listen to all of the podcasts there or on Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email. You can do it right there from our website. And you can also find the link to our MMC Chat Facebook group. We would love to hear from you, have you join in on the conversations. And until next week, go bake something.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.